Businesses can refuse to serve same-sex couples if doing so would violate the owner's religious beliefs, the Supreme Court ruled on Friday. The court has significantly expanded LGBTQ rights over the past several years, but is now carving out some exceptions. The case concerns Lori Smith, a Colorado web designer who wanted to create and sell wedding websites, but not to same-sex couples. Colorado's civil rights law prohibited her or any business that serves the general public from turning away customers because of their sexual orientation. She said complying with that law would force her to espouse views she does not agree with. Quote, "The artwork that I create is speech," Smith told Colorado Public Health in December, adding that, quote, "Those messages must be consistent with my convictions." I mean, in terms of the implications of this would definitely open the doors for discrimination. But at the same time, I think an interesting thing that's going on in the country right now is there's like a huge distinction being drawn between blue and red states, and a lot of competition going on in terms of, due to a lot of policies being passed, come on over where the grass is greener, where the water is finer type of deal. So, I mean, most people who aren't like really hyper politicized, they're not going to turn down a same sex couple because they want to make the money. You know what I'm saying? So while this is definitely unsurprising that the Supreme Court would do this, and it does open the gates for discrimination at the same time, people can just go to another cake shop. People can just get, like people can just go somewhere else. And that isn't really good for your reputation. You know what I mean? So this is like, okay, big whoop-de-doo win for like evangelical Christians or whatever. But at the same time, it's like with each one of these decisions that the court passes, the Supreme Court, along with just this general ideology, is becoming more disliked throughout the country. You know what I'm saying? So it's really just a bunch of nonsense. It's like, okay, have your way, but the country has moved on in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? You can't. There's too much toothpaste out of the bottle. The cat's out of the bag. You can't take society back to a time where the queer community wasn't as accepted. Like that, you can't do it. So it's kind of like you guys are just a bunch of sore losers. This is like lost cause type of shit. You know what I'm saying? All right. The conservative majority Supreme Court ruled 6-3 in favor of Smith, saying she has a First Amendment right to refuse to design custom wedding websites for same-sex couples. The First Amendment envisions the United States as a rich and complex place where all persons are free to think and speak as they wish, not as the government demands. Colorado cannot deny that promise consistent with the First Amendment, Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote in the majority opinion. The opportunity to think for ourselves and to express those thoughts freely is among our most cherished liberties and part of what keeps our republic strong. All of us will encounter ideas we consider unattractive, Gorsuch wrote, but added that tolerance, not coercion, is our nation's answer. All right. So again, I mean, this is just going to make blue states more attractive. It just is. And for the most part, I mean, red states more and more just becoming places where their future is looking dim. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, and this is in the dissent. Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote that, quote, "There has been a backlash to the movement for liberty and equality for gender and sexual minorities. New forms of inclusion have been met with reactionary exclusion." Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And they gonna go down kicking and screaming, but at the end of the day, the cat's out of the bag. The majority of the country, especially younger generations, millennials, Gen Z, ain't tripping about nobody being gay or trans. Like people really, it's just like, okay, they're just people who do what they do, just like me and just like everybody else, so you really can't erase that sentiment. The immediate symbolic effect of the decision is to mark gays and lesbians for second-class status, Sotomayor added in the dissent, which was joined by Justices Elena Kagan and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Sotomayor added that the ruling conveyed a message that, quote, "We live in a society with social castes. and warned that the underpinning logic of the decision could extend beyond sexual orientation or gender identity. Absolutely. But I mean, in terms of this, like the Supreme Court, they've been doing this. So they're just kind of like they're just chopping stuff up. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever it is, whatever it is that they really ain't feeling too much, they just chopping it up. So that's what they got going on right now. The decision threatens to allow, this is another quote, allow the exclusion of other groups from many services. And again, it's like, yeah, that is true. That is true. However, Black people and Asian people and Latinos and gays and lesbians and whatever can go somewhere else. You feel me? So it's like you're really just shooting yourself in the foot with this. But in terms of the bigger implications, Jesus Christ, man, these people